Hello, it's Brian Rosen here from Evolution Wines and Spirits with the world famous, extraordinary, out of control fan of Evolution, Jane Ferrari.
Oh yes, no, that's all correct. That's all correct. Yeah. Big fan.
See that? Big fan. Jane is in the store today in our Northbrook store because we have a great Yalumba wine dinner tonight at Prairie Grass. But before we do the dinner, we are going to taste a couple wines. I want to hear the history of Yalumba, and I want to talk about how Jane got in the business and why the world over she is revered and loved. Is that fair?
Oh, fair. I don't know about the world over, but in several provinces of Canada, definitely, and
Great,
a couple of states of the United States. Yeah, that'll work.
Oh, great. Well, good.
Alrighty. History-wise,
yeah. Tell me about Yalumba.
History-wise, Yalumba is a family-owned winery that's been in the same family consecutive now for 5 generations, 165 years. We're based in the Barossa Valley, and Yalumba is basically my life. I've been travelling on behalf of the family for the last 11 years. It started off as a let's see how it goes for a year, and he's still sending me away on a return ticket, so that's generally the seal of approval. I'm on a 10-week American and Canadian odyssey at the moment. We're in week 7, so that's good too. But the best thing about it is that everything we've touched just in the last 6-7 weeks has gone gold. So it's kind of an extraordinary run. That doesn't usually happen, but I guess what we're doing at the moment is just really striking a chord, and we seem to be winning hearts and palates left, right and centre, so that is a good thing.
Well, that's cool. You know, we took in some Octavius, and exactly, we're going to drink some tonight. We took some Octavius into all the stores and sold it out really in a day and a half, at a very, very, very price point that is not for every person, but it's sold. So what it says to me, frankly, is that people recognize the value. They know.
Do you want to do that again?
Yes, like what it says to me. People recognize the value.
What I said to a bloke in London just recently when he did that?
What?
Don't be handling anything if you're not going to be taking it home.
Oh.
I just wanted to add that in.
Check, please. What are we tasting here?
This is brand new for us. Any decisions that you make with respect to grapevines in Australia, you must make long term in advance, because it takes you about 8 years to get things through quarantine. Vermentino is something that we've brought in from Liguria because essentially it holds its acid really, really well in warm growing conditions, and most of Australia is, on the world scale, warm growing conditions. You've got a lot of cooler high country in Victoria and down in Tasmania. You've got the Adelaide Hills and part of the Eden Valley in our world, but essentially most of it's quite warm. So
it's really
given that 95% of Australians live 35 kilometres from the coast, given that our food's Mediterranean Asian crossover, you want wines that are actually that you can chill, that have got aromatic lift, and essentially this one here, the perfume's just popped.
Bluegrass,
baby vines, so it's early days. Perfume's just popped, but the really lovely thing is that snappy lemon apple acid on the palate. This is going to jump out of the glass with anything that's got Asian, Vietnamese. You've got a great deal of Tex-Mex, sort of chili mayo, crab cakes, soft shell crab thing going on.
Perfect.
This is going to fly.
And this is like and I've never had this before, and I can tell you it's a great coming into summer here, spring and summer.
You can smell it from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can smell that aromatic lift. Yeah.
Well, cheers to you. Let's give it a
try that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I'm thinking perfume. I'm thinking, it's even got a little bit of ginger going on there. I quite like it.
I'm thinking more, actually.
I'm thinking more. Oh, dear me.
That's very good.
And then, the other end of the spectrum.
Oh, man. The signature.
This is old school. Once upon a time.
Look at the color.
Once upon a time when the earth was young and Australia started to make wine.
You got it. Rich, you got to have some of this. No, you just put your hand and it'll cut you out. This is really good.
Once upon a time, when the world was young and Australia started to make wine, our number one job was to make fortified wines for the British Empire.
I did not know that, by the way.
Wait one moment.
Oh, see ya. Oh, man.
This would be a fortified wine. That's Antique Tawny. Average age, 18 years, but it's a non-vintage assemblage of old parcels of fortified wine that has been made with brandy spirit off our own still, that's been left to age gracefully for sort of 60, 70 years. And then when you want to put a parcel together, you take little bits and pieces of different ages, put them together, and that's what you end up with. And that's what we did in the early days for the British Empire. 1890 to 1915, we were called the Vineyard of the Empire, and that's what we made, and we got very good at it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's really interesting when you think about it that, people think about they go into their wine shop and they pull a wine off the shelf and that's the end of the experience. But a wine, your vineyard, this wine, it has historical roots.
Liquid history.
Absolutely it is.
Liquid history. That's the story of our country. And essentially, we got very good at it, but even though we mostly made fortified wine and we only started making more table wine than fortified in the Barossa at the end of the 1980s, back in the dim darks, once upon a time, we also made a small amount of dry red table wine for home consumption. And those days, there were two styles of dry red made in Australia. One was called Burgundy, and it had nothing to do with Pinot Noir. It was dry red, soft finish, Shiraz dominant, Burgundy style. And the other one was called Claret, and it had nothing to do with Bordeaux. It was called dry red, Cabernet dominant, firm finish, Claret style. Now we can't use the words Claret or Burgundy because they quite rightly belong to France. But stylistically, if you say the word Claret to someone that's over 35 years of age in Australia, that's what they think about. Dry red, firm finish, Cabernet dominant.
What about someone like me who's 25?
There's no way that you can be as attractive and switched on as you are and only be 25 years of age. Do not even try and don't even try and run that by me, because that's going to insult my intelligence.
Again, I will say that, Sean, when you go into the editing room, I would like to keep all this in. If you just...
We'll have a special reel just for
yeah, exactly.
I'm winding up all my best material here. But essentially, this is how it works. So with this sort of style of wine, we've been making this since we opened our doors. And Cabernet Sauvignon provides the skeleton, the framework for the wine. And Shiraz is that gorgeous, generous, juicy fruit that sits so well on the skeleton. And over the years, one of the things that we forget to tell the world is we have this pre-European phylloxera viticultural treasure trove, grapevines that are up to 115 years old on their own roots. And they actually really yield low. They really yield low per acre, so you get sometimes only 2 or 3 bunches to the vine, and you've got the leaves pushing all those goodies into a small amount of fruit, so it gives you this lovely intensity. And we actually pick and choose different vineyards to give us their best Cabernet or Shiraz. We don't have a certain amount of signature that we have to make each year. We don't have a certain split of Cabernet to Shiraz. It's purely and simply what every vintage gives us. And at the end of the day, only the best of the best makes it to signature. It's been under that label since 1960, and every year someone that's made an outstanding contribution to the Yalumba world is invited to sign the back label.
Who's that?
This is Kevin Renshaw in 2006. He's the first New Zealander to be invited to sign the back label. He was our Chief Financial Officer for 18 years.
Have you signed the label?
Oh, I can't get a corporate car park. Signature's way out of my league. But we aspire to it. If you ask anybody what their aspiration is at Yalumba, if they don't say, I want to be a signature, then they're telling you big lies.
Oh, that's cool.
Of course, you'd love it, because not only do you get to become a living legend, you get your story on the back label of the signature, which could last up to 60 years, 70 years in the bottle. You also get 20 dozen for your own home cellar. That's a pretty good
amazing.
tag. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But this is, I want to go on record as saying this is out of the box. 2006 is going to be super special. We started showing it in Australia in May last year, and it was really quite solid and a little bit locked up, and you could tell that the layers were there. They just hadn't opened up. In England in September last year, it started to move. Now in America, it's just starting to open up, and you're getting all of that smoky coffee mocha starting to lift off with the black currant and the star anise that's a giveaway for Shiraz. And still underneath, it's 55% Cabernet, 45% Shiraz. The Cabernet notes are there. There's a bit of that Christmas pudding, cloves and cinnamon from the Shiraz on the aromatics. But the actual Shiraz is just sitting there like a big outboard motor just turning, just sitting there idling underneath and not doing anything. I think this is going to be special.
Well, it's special already, I can tell you that. So I know
Think ribeye.
well,
think short ribs.
We have it here, and it's the 06 is $44 here.
That's good value.
That's real good value.
That's good value.
I should raise the price.
Well, it competes, I guess, in the same league as a lot of the super famous big ticket Cabernets from America.
Sure.
It competes against a lot of the incredibly high-profile first growths from Bordeaux. And we think, you know, it's a bit of a hometown hero. I think it does. I think it punches well for its weight.
It's very good. So we have to get to this dinner. Actually, I want to wrap it up a little bit, but I like to ask 3 or 4 just questions at the end of these things.
I am an open book to you.
Open book. I like it. I like it. Okay, so
I don't say that to many men.
oh
I
well,
want you to feel special.
I'll take open any way I can get it.
I've heard that. I've heard that. Cheap but not easy.
No, I'm both.
Go on.
Tell me your favorite superhero.
Derek Jeter.
No, superhero. He doesn't wear a cape.
He does at certain clubs in New York. No, I didn't mean that. My favourite superhero would I'm very old school. It would have to be Batman.
Okay, that's fair.
It's
That's
the
fair.
body armour.
You
It's
like-
the body
you like the
form
mask.
body armour.
Right.
It was the George Clooney body form body armour. Batman for me.
Okay.
Yep.
Favorite city to visit outside of your own?
Oh, outside of my own, that's easy. Memphis, Tennessee.
Favorite
Home of Elvis Presley. Been to Graceland 3 times. That's not enough.
I've been to Graceland.
That
How
impresses me.
how about the records room?
That
How about the
impresses
airplane?
me even
The
more.
airplane. How about the car?
Lisa Marie.
Come on.
My lord! Now this off.
Fade
Time out.
Fade out. Okay.
Private time.
So, favorite restaurant then while you're at Graceland? That one with
favorite-
with the pink Cadillac and the pig on
No,
it?
favorite restaurant in Memphis would be Interstate Barbecue, Big Jim Neely's place. Absolutely the best burnt ends I've had in my whole life.
And bird ends is what, like tips?
Burnt ends are like tips, yeah. You have to be there. Just don't look at those. Just look into the camera. Burnt ends, yes.
Got it.
Rib tips.
Okay, and finally, and this is a no-brainer, this is a layup question. Favorite wine store? No, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
That would be Evolution Wine and Spirits.
There you go. Thank you. That wasn't forced at all. Thanks for coming today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having us on the shelf.
Cheers
It's
to
a
you.
nice address to be at. Take care.